Prince Andrew, now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has been released after being arrested Thursday, a dramatic development that has once again placed the British royal family under intense global scrutiny. While he had already stepped back from royal duties following the Epstein scandal, his arrest and release raised fresh questions about his future, the response from Buckingham Palace and the broader implications for King Charles and the monarchy. Joining me now is Richard Fitzwilliams, a respected royal commentator who has closely followed the British royal family for decades and has analysed some of its most serious crises. Richard, thank you for joining me here on NDTV 24/7. Let me start with the most obvious question, Richard. Prince Andrew, now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has been released after his arrest Thursday, a dramatic development that comes after years of perhaps mounting scrutiny and pressure. How significant is this then, Richard, this moment in the context of everything he has faced over the past several years?
Well, this is extremely significant because the fact the arrest occurred on his 66th birthday and he spent 11 hours being questioned, I mean, that speaks for itself. I mean, this has not happened to a member of the British royal family since 1647 and Charles I. So we are in unprecedented territory. As you correctly say, there have been a variety of charges and allegations about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. I mean, this dates back most particularly to a photograph taken in 2001. That was of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor with his arm around Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who later charged him with three occasions that he had sexually abused her. This was a civil case that she brought in the United States that subsequently was settled without liability for some £12 million. Over the years, he had to step down from being special trade envoy, which he fulfilled for 10 years, and gave an absolutely disastrous interview in 2019 on BBC Newsnight. Now, what is very significant about this arrest is that he has been charged with misconduct in public office. That specifically deals with the allegations that whilst special envoy, he passed information that was confidential on to the deceased paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. There may, as this progresses, the police are looking into it, and then they will, if they feel they have a case, pass it to the Crown Prosecution Service. But that doesn't mean that other issues, such as alleged, for example, the allegations of that Epstein trafficked women into Britain, that various victims may come forward. He may face other charges.
Yes.
It's tremendously serious for the royal family, of course.
You know, Richard, this is the brother of King Charles and the second son of Queen Elizabeth II. How unprecedented and consequential is this moment for a senior royal of this stature?
Oh, it's completely unprecedented. You can look back in history and there are several events that come to mind. The abdication of King Edward VIII in 1936, which was seismic. Queen Elizabeth's so-called annus horribilis, where everything went wrong in the 1990s, and of course the tragic aftermath of the death of the Princess of Wales and the public response to that. And the monarchy is a deep part of the fabric of Britain. It goes back over 1,000 years. People are saying this might be the end of it, and I certainly don't agree with that. Certainly polls don't indicate that that's the way people feel. But what they do want, I think, is more transparency from Buckingham Palace. It's been very difficult for the royal family. King Charles has put out a statement saying that the law must take its course, and as you point out, it is his brother. Facts of the matter are, however, that the royal family have been on the back foot simply because when the Epstein files have been released, and we're talking about millions of documents, emails and the like, the royals haven't known what's coming next. So it's been very difficult to anticipate. But this is dramatic, and it could go to trial, in which case, for example, Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, person who epitomizes greed, as far as I can see. Her emails to Epstein are nothing short of atrocious. She seems to regard him as an extended member of her family. And also, conceivably, his daughters might be called on as witnesses.
Andrew has consistently, Richard, denied any wrongdoing in relation to Jeffrey Epstein and has maintained his innocence. Now, how does this arrest and his subsequent release affect the credibility of those denials in the eyes of the public?
The public have always thought he was guilty. His popularity rating is 6%, and that, I think, says it all, because we know that photograph that I referred to in 2001 was genuine, and there have been so many allegations, and frankly, nobody believes him.
Richard, his association with Jeffrey Epstein became one of the most serious reputational crises the monarchy has faced in modern times. Has this scandal permanently defined Andrew's legacy and irreversibly damaged his standing within the royal family itself?
Has absolutely no standing in the royal family. In fact, Queen Elizabeth stripped him of his patronages and military links, and he stepped down as a working member of the royal family after the catastrophic Newsnight interview. But King Charles last year stripped him of the title Prince, of his HRH. He's no longer a Garter Knight. He has still 89 to the throne and a Councillor of State, but that will almost certainly change. It has to go through Parliament and also the parliaments of the various Commonwealth countries in which King Charles is head of state.
Yes. Now, even though he has been released, does the arrest itself cause lasting damage to his public standing and any remaining role he may have had within royal circles? Personally, how big a setback would you define this to be for Andrew today?
Seismic. He has no future at all, and this may end up in the Crown Prosecution Service taking it further. And if it's judged guilty and put on trial, he may very well go to jail.
And does this mean this is curtains down when it comes to any sort of public duties for him?
He has absolutely no future because there have been so many lies. It's been proven that on Newsnight, for example, there were numerous lies. He claimed he'd cut off contact with Epstein when it's clearly proven he hasn't, and there's a great deal more to come out.
All right, Richard, let's just shift focus to King Charles for a moment. What does this mean for King Charles, who has been working to stabilize and perhaps even modernize the monarchy? How difficult and sensitive is this moment, both personally and institutionally, for him?
I think it's very difficult for King Charles because, of course, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is his brother. Also, he has been unwell and is still battling cancer. He's done remarkably well, and I think people believe that the soft power of the monarchy is extremely potent. We see this in the relations between Britain and the United States under a very erratic President Trump. Also, the charitable reach, the fact that the monarchy ceremonial is beloved worldwide. It's probably the world's most high-profile institution. The problem is that this has undoubtedly made life, and you're looking foreseeably at weeks, at months. That's the trouble. It's the royals family can't get back on the initiative because they don't know what exactly they're going to be facing. And we don't know when, the moment the court case opens, if there is one, we don't know which way it will go.
So how carefully then, Richard, will the Buckingham Palace now try to draw a clear line between Andrew as an individual and the monarchy as an institution?
They will try very hard, and my feeling is that the British public want a monarchy. However, they want a more transparent monarchy, so this may, for example, affect royal funding, royal palaces, the way royal events are handled in the future. But certain things will remain the same. It's easy to take a sensational line. For example, there's been a certain amount of heckling. I mean, when the heckling becomes public, becomes a headline, things are out of proportion. That is the sort of thing that, well, I think in time things will find their own level, but no one knows exactly what their level is going to be.
And you know, the British monarchy plays an important role, Richard, in shaping Britain's global image, diplomacy, as well as soft power. Do developments like this risk weakening Britain's standing or affecting its broader diplomatic and trade relationships?
Well, I think the fact that, for example, Lord Mandelson, who was Britain's former ambassador to the United States, he stepped down after allegations regarding his links with deceased paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, the impression that we're getting is that there was a sort of global network of influential people, often millionaires and billionaires, who regarded themselves as above the law, and that isn't undoubtedly not the case. However, yes, it is damaging. It's also sensational, and the royal family is the world's, I mentioned. It's so high profile. When things are going well, when you've got a wedding, when you've got some success, coronation, the publicity is good. But at the moment, we've got a deluge, a mountain, positively, of sleaze.
Now, at a time when Britain is navigating, Richard, a complex global trade and geopolitical environment, I want to understand from you how important is the credibility of the monarchy as a symbol of stability and continuity?
It has been, because it's gone back over 1,000 years, bar the Civil War when the dictator Cromwell had a brief republic. So it is part and parcel, I would suggest, of Britain's DNA. And I think that this will continue, but it will change, and this will hasten change. Prince William is likely to be proactive in this regard.
And does this episode reinforce King Charles's efforts to create perhaps a slimmer monarchy focused on fewer senior royals to protect the institution's credibility?
That means that there will be less charitable work. And he didn't actually say a slimline monarchy. That's been the press's interpretation of his reign.
Yes.
However, I would point out that this is likely to have an effect on how the monarchy works. Essentially, from one reign to the next, you get a change anyway. And Prince William's already indicated that he wants a change.
All right, we briefly spoke about how the British public is reacting to these developments. I want to understand, does this deepen skepticism towards Andrew and the monarchy more broadly?
I think that we'll have to wait future weeks and months before we can answer that question. To be precise, I mean, it depends what he's charged with, if he's charged, and also, as I say, there may be a variety of allegations. There certainly have been over the years. He's been identified, and his ex-wife, with excess, with sleaze. We'll have to see what the charges are and what happens if it goes to court, and also subsequently how the monarchy deals with it. How keep calm and carry on, the mantra, will serve it well, because if you don't know what you're facing, there's nothing else you can do.
And before I let you go, Richard, does this moment then mark the culmination of years of crisis surrounding Prince Andrew? And can the monarchy now move forward without lasting damage to its legitimacy, its authority, as well as its perhaps global standing?
I think it will affect its global standing. There's no doubt, certainly in the short term. The whole point is how, in the weeks and months to come, and as I emphasize, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, how the court case, if there is one, what happens. I mean, that would be dramatic. It's going to be an international cause célèbre. This is very or likely to be short term, given the fact the monarchy has the staying power, and that staying power is valuable. The ceremonial, the soft power elements that I mentioned, the charitable work. There's nothing, no one has links like that. And of course, the Commonwealth, of which India is a member, I mean, the facts are that will continue. And I think the British monarch will be the head of it. But the monarchy will have to adapt, and people will want to see it more transparent.
All right, Richard Fitzwilliams, thank you for joining us and sharing your insights on what is clearly a deeply consequential moment for Andrew and for the British monarchy. His arrest and release may have answered some immediate questions for now, but the broader implications for his future and for the institution itself are likely to unfold, like Richard is saying, in the days ahead. Thank you once again for being here with us on NDTV 24/7.
It's a pleasure.